we predict that by the close of this year we should have our debt to GDP more than 80.
But why do you single out that as the benchmark to say we're not doing well?
I mean, it's one of the benchmarks. But look at food. This is our program. I believe the Agri Minister has left out his hands. That I cannot do it anymore. The whatever they call it,
food for jobs and
food
but he didn't say just saying we need to put
he's practically saying that we have abandoned the program. He's practically saying that after our inputs,
yes,
the output is bad.
Right.
And when you after all these inputs, we spent over 300 million Ghana cedis per year,
right,
on this program.
Right.
And look at the price of maize.
All right.
If you go to the market now,
right,
I'm using the Chima, etc. Yes, it's over 300 Ghana cedis. But before in this program, we were at 1.5.
Right.
So that if your output doesn't match your inputs,
right,
you cannot talk of growth. I mean, I'm not talking of growth, yes, but not like the way the president is saying it.
Well, I mean, the president just didn't plug the figures out of the. I mean, it's like an international body says, look, if we compare you in comparative analysis, Ghanaians are doing better. Our president always says it before really we know whether to accept it or not. No, the point is that he's not saying it. He's only quoting an international body. So you can excuse me. Look, I'm not saying it. This is what it is. So even if we are shouting that it's not good, we should have consolation in the fact that somebody stands outside and thinks that we're doing well. So we should just pat us on the back and just keep
what is the World Bank saying about our economy? And our sustainability in the selection of our loans. What's the World Bank saying about it?
So we should be thinking of what the World Bank says, more than what Fitch says, isn't it?
They are all international bodies.
Right, okay. All right.
And as the
I don't know, my brother.
Because the sustainability of they are saying that by the close of I think even by 2023,
right,
we will not be able to service our loans.
Oh goodness! All right, okay.
And so these international bodies, we've got to be careful.
All right.
The real judges of the economy is the ordinary Ghanaians.
Wow.
Those are the markets. Those at home. We, the ordinary workers, we are the real judges of the economy.
Not the international bodies.
Not the international bodies.
Oh, you think so?
And we use international bodies, we choose them when we like.
Right.
When they say something that is supportive, yes, we quote them. And when it is not supportive of our what we want to hear, we ignore it.
I would like to say something about what
I just want to say two things.
The
first one is on regards to the rating that he's more or less trying to debunk. The point is that the assessment has been done within a context.
Right.
It has been done considering the sub-Saharan countries.
Right.
And if you go and look at the figures in terms of GDP growth, in terms of debt to inflation, all those things, Ghana is one of the best performing countries. That is a statement of fact.
Okay.
We are growing at 0.9. Others are growing at even negative. So the Fitch and World Bank have done the assessment based on figures on the ground and comparing countries. So it is not just being emotional and thinking that we are having challenges, and because we are having challenges, we are not doing well. You have to situate it in the context of other countries. Right. And I can tell you that in West Africa, Ghana's economy is one of the best performing economies as it stands now. The second one is he talked about agric and the fact that prices of food is going higher and all that. Look, we need to look at where we came from. I can tell you, by 2016, a bag of maize sold in Ghana could not buy a bag of fertilizer, 50 kg. If you sell a bag of maize, you couldn't buy under the NDC. So if you're a farmer and you sell a bag of maize and you can't buy a bag of fertilizer, it means that you are going backwards. A majority of our our system.
What does it mean? It means the maize is cheap, isn't it?
Well,
that's what it means.
But
and to the ordinary Ghanaian, do you want the maize to be cheap?
Doctor, it's about input-output analysis. What the farmer puts into the system and what comes out of it.
Who was supplying the fertilizer for free?
That cannot be true.
It was a program that was there.
As of 2016, a bag of fertilizer was 110 Ghana cedis.
Okay. But then don't also mention the fact
there
that
was nothing free in Ghana.
The minister of Agri has come back to give us
that's why there's
a
no
report.
fertilizer in Ghana now.
The minister of Agri has come back to give us a report which is not too palatable. How are we grappling with those issues?
Well, that was the point I was even getting to.
Right.
The fact is that this year's planting for food and jobs is having challenges. That is a reality.
Right.
It has been successful in the last 4 years from 2017 to 2020.
Right.
But this particular year, farming season, there are challenges. And one of the reasons why we are having the challenges is the reduction of fertilizer production on the world market, and the companies that import. I'm told they had challenges even trying to pay so that they can be supplied. And we are now receiving the supplies into the country. And so because of the delays, and that has caused shortages in the system, it has affected the regular flow of fertilizer and has also affected the pricing, which is having the two farmers. I am a farmer and I come from a farming constituency, and Tisala East, my constituency, has been one of the biggest beneficiaries of planting for food and jobs. And at the moment is the leading producer of maize in Ghana. So I practically understand the implications of what we are going through.
I'm sure the MP knows all this, because then this is he knows
that people farm more than his constituency. Now, how much farm do you do? The farming is done. I am from the heart of farming.
I know that, but
it's basically that the government is owing this fertilizer suppliers.
That is
the issue.
Okay.
And that's why we say that the 332 billion that have been quoted as our debt, there are a lot of debts sitting in the ministries that have not even been compiled. The MFGCs, etc. There are a lot of debts sitting down over there. This is one of the debts that might not even have been compiled and added the 332 billion.
So you expect it to go high, isn't it?
Much higher than that.
All right. No, but you see what
and so the government has to take steps, pay the suppliers, and then they will continue with their job.
In the midst of all this discussion, TC calls for public sector salary commission to advise government. We went through the discussion, and we were saying that for some time there's been some kind of disquiet. People are looking at their salaries and say that their purchasing power is gone down. I don't know if you've also, by virtue of where you sit, you've heard workers say this.
Oh yes, with the economy getting very, very hard, hitting individuals, we first and foremost, the price of commodities, just as I'm saying, in maize, for example, is going high. Utilities is being increased. Inflation is about 8.5. They're going. Fuel is on the increase. So when you see all these parameters going up, and the government comes to say that they have given 4% to workers, you ask yourself, comparing ourselves to others in the sub-region, whether we're going forward or back. And that is why I'm saying that the TUC is handling the government with kid gloves, probably because everybody is thinking that our economic situation has deteriorated because of the COVID. But in actual fact, by 2019, our economy had deteriorated. There was growth years in 2017, 2018, thanks to the good fundamentals that the NDC left behind. But after that, with all the economics that they claim they know, things started deteriorating. So what I'm saying is this. What I'm saying is this. Government should look at this increase again. We expect that, if anything at all, there should be, thinking of increasing it a little bit more.
Right, okay.
A little bit more. And I believe that is the way the TC
But the call is not just about, minimum wage.
Yes.
It's just about looking at the public sector generally and making recommendations so that the inequality, of course, I think that is what the important thing.
Yeah.
There's some inequality that exists, amongst those who even work in the public sector, and that is what they want to bridge. Of course, in addition,
that is the medium to long term.
Yeah, okay.
But in the short term, I believe the government should think of increasing this 4% increment that they gave.
Right.
It's on the lower side.
Okay.
Yes. And you can't be telling us to tighten our belts, when you want to bath from the air.
But you just mentioned the fact that we borrow to pay. That's what you say.
Exactly.
It means that we're not making enough revenue to be able to take care of the system. Now, you're asking for an increment. Why are we going to get the surplus money to asking for if our revenue is under criticism according to the statement you're making this morning?
Whatever it is an equation where we have the revenue and then the expenditure side.
Right.
What we are asking them to do is to find the areas where they can cut down the expenditure.
Give us some examples of areas where you think they can cut down the expenditure. Give us some of the areas.
Government machinery. They take about 1.5 billion as their budget. I mean, that is more than 3 or 4 ministries' budget put together. They should find a way of cutting down the expenditure of government machinery.
Not for good cause.
The bill from Jubilee House. That bill is big.
Yeah, but you and I agree that President Akufo-Addo has done his best by cutting down the staff he has, the ministers he has, and all that.
Yeah, but that has not yet expressed itself even in the budget that was brought. We expect to get the review in 2 days' time.
Right.
But that did not get any expression so far as the budget that was brought compared even to last year. It was just around.
So apart from government machinery, which other area do you think that we can give a barbering to?
I believe that if governments will sit down, look at whatever programs, you can't eat your cake and have it.
Definitely.
We should look at our programs and see how best. If you look at the way we use our ABFA, that it goes into planning for food and jobs, school feeding, what have you. That's our oil money. This our oil money is supposed to have been initially the amount that is given to the budget or to support the budget. It's supposed to have gone into infrastructure. We are using it for programs. Let's look over there. Because that amount is almost about 2.5 billion or something of the sort. Let's look at it very well and see whether out of this oil money we can get something out of it.
My concern has always been with revenue. My concern has always been with revenue.
Yes.
As long as you don't make much revenue,
this government is making enough revenue. They inherited, we invested both vertical and horizontal investments to ensure that we get Atuabo gas. Atuabo gas is now operating. 50% of the gas that we use in this country is coming from our own source. Are we not saving some revenue when we use gas instead of diesel or gasoline or something of the sort? We're saving money. 3 wells, oil wells. We invested to ensure that it gets to 3 and we just gave it to them. That means that revenue is, from these sources.
So they should be able to take care of the price of markets.
Yes. But their expenditure pattern, their goods and services. If you take any budget, you study it critically, and you realize that, there are hidden problems in there. Look at goods and services. You try to look at it, you see that, this place, these figures here, it appears that there's something wrong with those figures. The government can study and reduce its expenditure.
Right.
I can assure you.
Let me talk to my member from the select.
Well,
I
am surprised.
You're amazing.
I am surprised by the submissions of my honorable colleague. If you look at their track record in terms of handling of workers by 2016, the evidence is clear that Ghanaian workers, even though are not getting the best at the moment, but things are better now than before. I mean, people who were employed under the NDC's regime, you work for 2 years, 1 year, and you get 3 months salary arrears. That was the practice. There were a lot of outstanding allowances for teachers, nurses that were never paid. Employment was frozen between 2012 to 2016. They were not employing. They only do replacement.
Was there any critical reason for freezing employment at the time?
It was all about money. So today, look at all those things have been resolved. We don't longer pay 3 months arrears. When you are employed, you are paid all your salary. If it's 1 year, 2 years, the government pays everything. All the outstanding allowances for teachers, nurses have been paid. And yet today he's saying, I mean, look.
I heard you talking about
honorable.
And then the employment of nurses and doctors.
He mentioned that.
Yes. And it is the situation, look.
Between 2012 to 2016, all nurses who completed nursing schools were sit at home. They never employed them.
Oh, no.
For 4 good years.
At the time of living, it was only 2016 nurses that had not been employed.
Honorable, that cannot be. That cannot. 2012.
And when you came,
you crossed.
As you're speaking now, let me tell you. You don't know. That's my sector.
I know.
2019, 2020, even 2018.
They have been employed.
A lot of them. No, they've taken the 2018 their documents.
Right.
So 2019 and 2020, nurses are still in the house.
Doctor, let me say this.
As we speak.
Let me say this.
Those who completed.
Let me say this.
Are still at home.
Let me say this, and people are listening.
After the rotations,
he has worked
after what we call the rotations, which is like a housemanship or something like that. They come out again and now come and wait for employment. Some of them have waited up to 2 years.
So the 2 years,
and
the contract is deeper than this. It's deeper than minimum wage.
That is exactly the point I am making.
This is the new norm that they have created. When you finish school, you wait for 3 years.
Let me listen to your colleague.
Doctor, you are a health professional.
It's true now.
And you understand, or you are supposed to understand what is happening in the health sector. I am telling you, and you can cross-check, and people are listening. Between 2012 to 2016, all those who left nursing training colleges were not employed. For 4 years, there were 4 badges as of 2017. Okay. Now, between 2017 and now, all the nurses who left colleges between 2012 to 2016 were employed. 2017 have been employed. 2018 have been employed. Now we are on 2019. So we had about 4 or 5 badges of people who left schools and were not employed.
You see,
but we have been able to reduce that to about 2 badges.
You see, our discussion is within a certain context, a certain historical context. We had a COVID pandemic, and so you mentioned that, the economy was slow. We've come out of it. It's not fast, etc., etc. And when the urologist called for retooling of the hospitals, as we find it on the front page of the Daily Graphic, and you find a story in page 16, I was thinking that, well, if we have to retool, then we're tooling within a certain historical context. You did your bit as a party. You led government, and I'm sure that this present government is also doing its bit, and we're hoping that we'll have that kind of a relay to the extent that Ghanaians will enjoy the best of health. You think the government is not retooling the hospital fast enough as you did, or something?
This government is not prioritizing infrastructure development.
You sure?
I'm telling you, it's not part of their. But
when you think the budget is there.
Yes, it's there. Agenda 111. That's to build 101 hospitals.
Well, it's a vision.
It's not a vision. It should have been done by now, or they should have started by now.
Do we use
that was last year.
Do we use 1 year to build hospitals?
No. That was done last year.
Construction of hospital is a process.
Procurement
alone.
The president came and and announce.
Yes.
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 It is initially at the close of the year.
He wants to.
Yes, he will do that. As I'm talking now, we don't even know. I'm sitting on the health committee as a deputy ranking, and I don't know the source of funding and I don't know the process, whether they've even initiated the process of land acquisition in some of these districts. So let us be this. We are talking too much and doing too little. A lot of information is out there. Agenda 111. We are going to build this number of district hospitals. We are going to mental hospitals, etc. But what is the effort? Have we seen any stuff cutting being done anywhere to start any district hospital? Indeed, for the past 4 years, this government did not initiate even a single hospital in Ghana.
But $25 million has been set aside as seed money for the establishment of a national vaccine institute. You heard about that. So what are we talking about?
I believe that it's better to say that 25 million will be set aside, not set aside. I don't know.
Right.
Yes.
As seed money.
That is a good idea.
Good.
I must say.
Right. Okay.
Yes, okay. I agree that it's a good idea.
Right.
If
okay. There's some investment, isn't it? There's some investment here.
There will be some investment. if it does happen, there will be some. No. This is the way let me say the president of the republic, he comes out to announce. They realize that it's not. We are far away from that place.
I see.
We are not
you don't believe this. You don't believe this.
It's not that I don't believe it.
Yes.
But until it takes place.
Oh, I see. All right. So
let me say that
one, yes,
I am sometimes surprised the way the NDC comes on some issues.
Yes.
The president, in the course of 2020, announced the agenda 111.
Yes.
They know that
the
NDC.
I see.
They know that to build a hospital, you go through procurement process,
right,
which takes time.
Yes.
Before the actual construction.
Right.
And he's saying that no hospital has been built since the president announced, which is less than 2 years. I want to ask him, the NDC from 1993 up to date, he should tell me when they have ever used 1 or 2 years to build a hospital. It has never happened. It's a process.
Right.
They are going through the procurement process. Right. And we have a procurement law. You have to advertise, contractors bring their bid, you open the bid, and then you evaluate and all that.
So if that should take, say, 3 years, we're never going to see this vision, isn't it?
No. The president announced it last year.
Last year, okay.
And the process has started.
Right.
Land have been acquired. In my region, there are three districts that are going to benefit.
But the Honorable Nawani is a member of parliament. He should know this process. Is that not the case? Or you think that he just...
No, sometimes they try to do propaganda. They used to have a position called propaganda secretary, which after some time they realized that no, it wasn't good, so they changed to communication officer. But that spirit of propaganda is still in them.
So they see it and
they pretend as if
but there's something.
They just want to play on the emotions of Ghanaians.
Something is going on. So you're saying that maybe we will be having... the agenda 111
it will start this year. They are going through the procurement process. The actual construction will start in the course of the year.
Right. Okay.
So the source of funding.
Well, I don't have the answer to it because I haven't looked at it. You are on the health committee, so you should know.
But I'm excited about the fact that government is actually serious about this fight against COVID, and $25 million has been looked at as seed money. I'm so excited.
Yeah, for the person,
that is good. That's good news.
That I admit that indeed.
It's good news.
If we are able to build our own capacity to manufacture our own vaccines for now and for the future, it is something that I believe we'll be very, very proud of. But until actually it takes place, we'll have our fingers crossed.
Well, I think it's good news all the way. I have the Minister in charge of Communication, Mrs. Ursula Owusu-Ekufo, says Ghana ranked Africa's #1 fastest internet provider, cheapest in West Africa. I don't think that Honorable Nawani is going to deny this one.
actually not done a comparative analysis
with other West African countries.
Yes. But I would say that in the course of these years, it's not that cheap to use the internet. Yes, it's not that cheap, but I've not done my comparative studies.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think we're paying, very good money for the usage of internet in Ghana.
You think that should be cheaper than this?
I believe that it can be cheaper than this.
Right. Okay.
Because actually, the communication sector has said that the more you get a lot of people being hooked to it, the citizenry being hooked to it, the most likely they are going to get it being what? Cheaper.
Cheaper, okay.
Yes. And against the social media, we are there.
Yes.
Yes. The consumption of the social media, we are doing very well, we are there, and we are participating. And so with this high level of participation, I believe that the fee for the net could have gone down.
Should go down.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Well, I think that these statements are made within a context, and I don't think that the minister can lie in public. I mean, and we have the opportunity to go and check whether within the context of West Africa, Ghana, in spite of our challenges, we are not the best. I mean, that is the
we are the
of the
79th in the world and one of the fastest in the sub-region.
In the sub-region. So, I mean, it is an established fact because it's something that we can cross-check. And I think that the use of the internet is now at the center stage of our development. I mean, for us to develop as a country, we need to get more people using the internet and across everywhere in the country. So it's positive.
But do you think it's been given a certain development direction? Because elsewhere, they would reroute this development to the younger generation, where they would make it available for education, for people's health needs, for the farmer to get used to it. If it's just about people living in the urban centers and using it for whatever it is, well, it has got its own impact. But I'm saying that it's not just a speed, but it's a direction to do things.
Well, the direction is also being looked at. If you look at this year's budget, government has committed some resources to connect internet to our secondary schools and to some universities and all that. So the direction is actually towards making sure that it's available to the younger generation who needs it to develop. So secondary school